break dancer, Naisha, but it's time to kind of formally introduce her. So Naisha, who is on the steering committee of the Female Founders community, as well, the Launchpad Female Founders community, is a project manager at Google, leading initiatives that drive companies' innovative hiring strategies, so all about hiring. She is a startup success manager for Google's Launchpad Accelerator program as well, which incubates startups from emerging markets. And she, as I mentioned, is on the steering committee of this amazing event. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Naisha to conduct the next session. Round of applause.
Thank you very much. I am personally very excited for this particular panel, as I'm sure a lot of the questions that you guys have asked so far have been around how to fundraise, how to get started, and what that's really like. So we have an amazing set of panelists right here who went through those exact experiences and will share with you their best practices, tips, and tricks. So without further ado, I'd like to invite my panel onto stage. We have Alina from Artveoli. Let's give her a round of applause. We have BJ from SoHookd. And we have Lisa from Scollar. So here we have a very diverse panel, first of all. We have Artveoli, which focuses on developing artful or beautiful panels to freshen air in buildings. And we have SoHookd, which focuses on developing a platform that is a marketplace of wellness experiences to connect communities. And we also have Scollar, which is sort of like a smart collar for the animal ecosystem. So a very, very diverse panel in front of us. So I'm going to give it to each of our panelists to sort of introduce their background, what inspired them to start their startup, and what series they're at currently.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hello. So I'm Alina. My background is engineering. I'm originally from Eastern Europe. And where I got my undergraduate in applied physics in the United States, I got a job at Stanford Bioengineering Department. I have double masters, one in engineering management and the other one, and I got an MBA, but that was already after I started my first company. I met my co-founder of bioengineering at Stanford. We're working developing microfluidic devices for various biochemical reactions. And after I left Stanford, I co-founded my first company in software development, image processing, and then I picked my co-founder, Anastasia, to see if she'd join me on this venture, Artveoli, which was 2 years ago. So this Artveoli, it creates, its core technology is biotech, based on microfluidic technology. We're growing in bioreactors, photosynthetic microorganisms that absorb carbon dioxide when we breathe out and convert it into fresh oxygen. So the main idea was that, well, we have trees outside that make fresh air. Well, why can't we move something inside the buildings to generate fresh air inside buildings? Because you will notice, well, sitting in this building after some time, it gets stale. You don't have that much so fresh air. But when you go outside, it's like, oh yeah, that's what we have. So this was kind of like a aha moment because we, problems with air pollution and we're in general kind of like trying to be healthy. We eat right, we sleep well. We exercise, but we cannot always choose what we breathe. So that was a combination of our interests and this company kind of like consolidated our skills and expertise. So now we're a team of employees 6, but we also have contractors, consultants. We have patent BCT International filed with Wilson Massini. We have pre-orders, product deployment partners. We've raised some money, seed money. Right now we're raising a lot more because we're prototype stage and we need to get our product ready for manufacturing. But we already have some pre-orders that people want to have our product. And unfortunately with buyers, people are messaging me and saying, hey, can we get your thing now? Is the air panel ready? Can we buy it? Because people realize when something bad happens outside. And Artveoli recently also won US-China Cross-Border Innovation Award. Because in China, of course, they realize how much important the air quality is. So that's kind of general overview where we're at.
Hello everyone, I'm Wiliams and I'm the founder of SoHookd. My background's a little bit different. I actually was a liberal arts major in college, ended up working in financial services, did asset management, went to Harvard Business School, and really started, that was when I really started focusing more into using passion as my compass to sort of drive my career. Ended up working in the hospitality sector, but worked for a private equity firm that owned and operated hotels. And personally helped nerd fitness fanatic and started seeing the wellness space becoming much more experiential. So ended up going and working at one of the leading wellness companies at the time, Wiliams, and actually opened up a store because I really wanted to understand how they were able to turn a product into a lifestyle. And it was sort of on that floor where I sort of realized there was this sort of huge problem and a huge opportunity. You name it, we both talk about it. People are striving to be healthier on top of this huge obesity epidemic. And it's not just sort of a one type persona that wants that. It's people from all different backgrounds. And in addition to that, there's this huge surge of wellness experiences popping up each and every day. Every 3 days a new yoga or Pilates studio opens. The organic food market is growing faster than my creators can keep up with it. It's a very fragmented market. And so sort of what we do at SoHookd is to really connect people with those wellness communities. And we do that through our platform, which is a rewards platform. And so we partner with enterprises, and it's a way for them to reward either their employees or their members or their customers with experiences that are good for the mind, body, and soul. And so our big two markets are sort of the employer well-being market, because companies are spending over $700 per employee per year on wellness incentives. And so we've been doing that. Instead of going sort of direct to the employer, we primarily have been partnering with the insurance carrier or insurance brokers. So we already established relationships with one of the top 10 insurance brokers in the country. And then we also have the sort of customer loyalty market, because health is living well. And companies are looking for ways to continue to sort of gain loyalty with their customers. So I've already been, because I have a hotel background, has sort of been brought on by different hotel companies to be a thought leader as they start thinking about integrating well-being into their experience. Currently, to date in terms of funding, I self-funded from the beginning, so $100,000 of my own money in. And then after that, then I raised a friends and family / small angel round of $150,000.
I'm Lisa Tamayo, and CEO and co-founder of Scollar, and I'm a long-time entrepreneur. This is my fourth company with my husband, and I'm a business partner. He's the technical side, and I'm the business development side. Our first company was Green Building Studio, which was acquired by Autodesk in 2008, and it is an open schema. And we created our own programming language, DBXML, which is now an industry standard. So we took green building from a multi-week process to a minutes process. And Autodesk had been a market partner of ours for a long time, and then acquired the company. And then we had some other companies in between that did well, but Scollar was created from a very specific imperative. How many of you actually in the audience have pets? Yeah? Okay. This side doesn't have very many pets. So we, at the time we started Scollar a little over 2 years ago, we had 2 teenagers in the house, a dog and 2 cats, and we never knew what was happening with them. Like, if the cat get fed, I would be madly texting my daughter in school and asking her, and sometimes the answer was yes, sometimes it was no. And then we had an invisible fence on the back fence because our golden retriever would jump on the fence, and one time went through it and startled both dogs, so one in the neighbor's yard and him. So he has this enormous collar. So it's like all of these use cases around animal care that needed some different technology. So, we're pioneers, and we said, let's create a multi-function open platform collar. How hard could it be? And it turns out that hardware is exceptionally difficult to do. And not only are we doing hardware, kind of like a hybrid between Alina's and BJ's companies, we are hardware and software. We have the collars, which we're in beta prototype with. We have the app and the cloud, and all 3 of those are built on an open platform. So what we're doing is creating a multi-sided marketplace so that the pet owner can have exactly what they need when they need it, and we can bring those partners in to develop it with us to create extra functionality and then tap ancillary revenue streams. It's kind of like Apple for animals. And we've recently expanded because we had a rancher friend of ours say, I really need this for my herd. And we said, that's really funny. And he said, no, I lost 20 goats and sheep last year to predator sickness, and they got their heads stuck in the fence and they didn't know. And so he said, you know, let's sit down and talk about this. And then we realized, well, we did it right because we created a platform. And we created technology and the hardware that's easily adaptable. So now we've spread into ranching and horses as well. We recently won the Girls in Tech Amplify competition, beating out almost 300 companies. So we're now over at Rocket Space and really enjoying leveraging everything with Akron. Because we had an acquisition already, we had resources, so we were able to self-fund Scollar and stay in stealth for 2 years. We do have a family and friends round, we have a first close on our seed round. We also have venture debt, which is something I think a lot of young startups don't really think about, and that was something I really went into. We have 2 different vehicles. And then we're already starting conversations with VC because once we finish the seed round, we will be looking at a Series A.
Awesome, thank you, ladies. So as you know, ladies, just got that. I caught myself. So as you all know, fundraising can be probably the most intimidating aspect of being a first-time founder. There are different series, different maturity dates, discount rates, different kinds of notes. So how did you guys first get yourselves knowledgeable about fundraising in general? Who was kind of the guiding force for you when you started out doing that for the first time? And what resources would you recommend the audience look into as first female founders?
So my story, it has a lot of turns to my back. So imagine you're an engineer coming into business. Before I had my MBA, I didn't know what was balance sheet and any of the terms on the balance sheet or income statement. There's a funny story about people that was helping out entrepreneurs competition, and they want a cap table. Cap table stands for capitalization table. That shows your equity stake you have with your owners. And they're asking me for cap table. I'm walking around looking for a table. Where do I find this table? What kind of table is this? It's that bad. I had no clue what it was. So if you're at that stage, find someone who can hold you, or at least give you an overview. There's tons of good resources, podcasts. I try to share some stuff on Twitter. I'm not a super big Twitter follower, but if you follow me, you'll find some information there. But there are a lot of resources available, at least to get the core knowledge. For more in-depth, in detail, there are a lot of people that, again, you can ask for friends, family, consultants, advisors. I would encourage you to look for advisors early on. I got personal kind of like know-how when I went for MBA. Since again, I didn't know anything about venture capital and form of fundraising, I decided, okay, what's the best way to find out how the VCs work? So I wrote a thesis as part of my master's on the venture capital and structural and cyclical changes of venture capital. So when I talked to VCs, number one, I got to interview them, right? So that was a good, I was students, I'll go, I'll talk to them, and they're typically helpful if you're trying to use them for educational services. So I got to introduce to so many different VCs. And then, of course, network. If you, this kind of events, networking opportunities, it's just a must. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to raise money. Venture funding is only one source of fundraising. It's just a vehicle for you. But of course, friends and family, there's debt, there's crowdfunding, angel investment. And those are kind of like side-by-side things that will take you from one stage to another. Going in straight up when you don't have nothing to VCs, they might talk to you, but they'll say, come back to me when you're ready. And you might waste a lot of time. At the same time, if you go talk to someone who is, will invest 10, 20K, but you need a lot more, let's say, well, what I'm going to give is not going to move the needle because I want 10% of your company. And you say, well, that's not going to work out either. So it depends what stage you're at. Try to assess. Maybe 20K will last you for some time that you can get to what we call value inflection point, which means you made enough progress so you can build up your value. Now your company is worth a little bit more. So try to think of your company, how you fundraising with milestones. So you accomplish something, now you're worth a little bit more. You have a team, you're worth a little bit more. Maybe you filed a patent. Whatever is applicable for your company, because we're hardware, it's completely different for hardware versus software, because with software you'll have different milestones. You don't have to build anything. We have to actually physically build something and show them that it worked. And I had this, and of course they want to say full size. So we're building air panels. One of our full-scale system is 1 meter square. Like imagine, like, there's no way I could bring this thing in the board meetings. So we had a demo unit about a quarter size, and I still had a suitcase I was carrying around everywhere. It looked so awkward, especially in the city. Like I was looking like I'm always moving somewhere with the luggage. So you have to see what is it that you need to show to investors to get the money. And then what source of funding will be more appropriate for you. Because again, from the VC perspective, there are venture capitalists that invest seed. There are venture capitalists that invest A round. And there are some that invest later stages. So it's okay to talk to some that are later stage, just again for networking, if they really like you, to keep in contact whenever you're ready. But you might waste a lot of time because you'll go to someone, they might be interested, but say, but we're not there yet, you're too small for us. And I actually personally had a mistake like that. I talked to a lot of big VCs, they're so thrilled about the things, like, but you don't have a product yet. So, I mean, we want to invest in you, but you're not there yet. And I was just so discouraged, and I was like, okay, well, let's go talk to smaller guys. And there's some smaller guys that are going, and it's like, well, you're too far advanced for us. Like, so there's like, and it's, you know, a lot of times people say reference like dating. So I have to warn you, it is like dating. So ladies, stay away from these vultures. Because they're like sharks. I mean, beyond the fact that you have to fundraise, there are also cognitive biases that they have when they see a lady come in the room. Because the problem we still have on a day-to-day basis, they don't see as many ladies walking in pitching to them. And it's a pure cognitive bias. It's something that hopefully in a couple of years, a few years will get ahead of us. But you have to be aware there are cognitive biases, and what do I need to do to prepare for that? What materials? And then there's some specifics on the due diligence and what's to put in the pitch deck, but it's more applicable specifically to you. So I would encourage you to listen to podcasts. There's a Stanford eCorners. They provide wonderful resources that you can sign up and watch. They're top VC firms. They know what they're talking about. They tell you exactly what they're looking for. But also on an angel round, I mean, of course, there's this entrepreneur. There's a lot of online resources that you can find and see what is the minimum that if you don't have anything, what is the minimum in the pitch deck that angel investor needs. So that's kind of my.
Thank you, Alina. I think you answered that question for all of the panelists in a way. So I'm actually going to change up the question a little bit as we move forward to BJ. So BJ, as a founder, there are many immediate expenses that just come out of nowhere, it seems, right? So what were some of the most immediate expenses that you experienced, and how did you prioritize those expenses? And what is the most creative way that you found to fund those expenses before you even were able to get funding?
Yeah, so I think one thing that Alina mentioned is you always have to think as an entrepreneur, as a founder, what can you do to move the needle? So when I sort of thought about how to prioritize different things, well, what are the big things that's going to move the needle? Well, first, I'm building something that, well, people know what a marketplace is, but they don't. In the beginning, people didn't really quite understand the concept. So I had to make sure that we would spend, money on, early phase minimum viable product. And I had to be lean about it and figure out, okay, what are not going to be sort of all the different bells and whistles, but what are going to be the key features that are going to be able to showcase what the concept of our product is enough to sort of get interest and to be able to go to the next phase. There's tons of things just in terms of operational, things that you don't even think about. Before going to a meeting, even just, printing material, where you want to make sure that if you're going to, so I'm in the B2B market, and I'm based out of DC, and I'm on the East Coast where things are a little bit more traditional. And going to talk to a big insurance company like Kaiser Permanente, well, I don't want to walk in with not having something that looks nice and, I'm a little guy, but I want to make sure I'm not perceived as a little guy and that I'm just a small startup walking in. So making sure that it has this sort of professionalism even if that means spending a little bit more to get, the presentation down. So when I sort of just think about things, I sort of think about it in terms of, what are sort of the needs at the moment from either a technology or sales perspective, and then where are the places where I can sort of, maybe reduce costs. So I think one thing is I've been, I don't know how creative it is, but, I'm able to have a lot of people working for free. And it doesn't mean you're giving all this equity away, but I think one of the things that we underestimate is people do want to help you. And so being a founder, figuring out how you can leverage when someone says, how can I help? And then not being afraid to sort of put them to work.
Do you want to elaborate more on that? How did you get work free for you?
Ask. And I know that sounds very simple, but a lot of times we don't ask. We make the assumption that we have to do all these things, and sometimes people, really do just because there was a previous relationship, or you worked with them before, or they're part of their network, or you want people who believe, especially those are your early adopters. Those are people who believe in what you're doing and want it to get better and want to bring it to market. So, a range. Actually, Naisha, early on, she helped work on SoHookd and was very instrumental and brought some of the lens that she had at Google to the product. In addition, just asking people if that they have legal expertise, or if they have financial expertise. I mean, just leveraging people's network, even if they people who built new markets, sitting down and they're actually working on helping you build your pitch deck before walking in. So that would be
Perfect. Thank you. And for Lisa, I have another question. Given your familiarity with starting businesses, you've done 4 businesses so far, and you're also part of an angel network. So the question I have for you is around these cold lead investors, the ones that you actually don't have a relationship with. What do you include in that first deck for them? Or what do you include in that attachment to that first email? And more importantly, what don't you include?
I try to avoid cold leads at all costs if I can. I try to get a connection to that person, and I wanted to go back on some of the things that Alina and DJ said, and this is specific to us as women, to your point about ask. All of this fundraising stuff is up here. So you will get in your own way because you think you aren't ready, because you don't know who to ask, you don't know what to do. You have to shift, and I've changed my middle name to Hustle. Because my #1 job right now is to keep bringing money in, whether it's the customers who I talk to every day, or whether it's the angels, or whether it's the VC that I'm priming at the pump, whether it's venture debt. So I'm constantly talking to everyone. I was just at Band of Angels yesterday at a luncheon. I was talking to everyone and asking them, who do you know that I should be talking to next? Because the cold lead is really, really hard. And then the other thing that we've just done is we have a gentleman that's raised a lot of money for other companies, millions of dollars. He's working with us now, and he turned us on to something called DocSend, D-O-C Send. If you haven't used it, go find it. You can do a free account. We just did an enterprise account. But you can, so we created little 2-minute videos and 10-minute videos with lots of content. Make sure you have lots of good content to give to people. But we can give them the email with some very specific talking points. So-and-so asked me to talk to you. We think you're going to love what we're doing because it's X, Y, and Z, and you're so, dedicated to this space. Click here to watch our 2-minute video. It takes them right to DocSend. You can look at all the statistics around how long they stayed, what they looked at, and then you can put your PowerPoint and then embed the videos right there. So they have this beautiful experience, and it makes it easier for that person you don't really know very well, or someone that's kind of taking a chance on you. But, the other thing is, with any sort of lead at all, I always have the ultimate respect for that person, for their time. I make sure that I triple check the email before I send it. Those little errors and like the iPhone errors, no, don't do that. And so I'm very respectful of their time, and I make sure that I speak to them personally, and then I follow up, and then I follow up, and then I follow up. So it's a hustle game, it's a numbers game.
Thank you. So back to Alina. You mentioned that you're currently in seed and you're growing into Series A, right? So 2 questions for you. How did you know that you were ready for Series A? Like, what is that moment or that milestone that made you feel like you were ready for that? And 2, currently, how are you preparing for that?
So it goes back to milestones, and I'm a very structural person, so I like to organize. And you have to have a plan. Things are gonna go outside of your plan, but you have to have a plan. I mean, it's gonna change, like tomorrow is gonna be something different, but you have to adjust, you have to make a plan for that. And there's so many times, like I make financials, and I'll project it, and then time shifts, and I didn't close, and I have to reset everything again and put new timeline. And it goes back to, what do you want to do and what milestones? And milestones are in terms of, when is the product ready? When are we having the alpha ready? The big milestone for us is when we have a full-scale product ready for manufacturing. That's a big milestone, because the next step, we need to get the money to get that out. We need to manufacture it in China. So when you have these milestones, and the smaller milestones could be, you filed a provisional patent, you filed some copyrights, you converted your provisional patent to full patent. So those are the steps. The general kind of like seed versus A round, it also depends on the fund, how they position you, because there could be some seeds that 3-5 million seed. If you look at the biotech, because it's capital intensive, you cannot put any little money for seed. You have to put a lot of money out. Although there could be round A of 2 million, 3 million. It depends what the needs are, and to match them with the venture capital firm that you're talking to. And I've talked to a lot of VCs. So I have a lot of knowledge that I can share. And in general, you have to do a lot of due diligence on the firm. And I cannot emphasize a lot. You have to know who you're going to talk to the point that Google them if they have any talks, see what they're talking about, what is their mindset. Because I have to tell you, we've rejected some term sheets from investors. They're really good term sheets that would just flat out cash and go build your product purely because it was either, I would say, unfit with the financing, or there's just no way we could work with that investor. And that is important because that investor is going to be stuck with you for the day the company either goes IPO or get acquired. And when you have someone to work with you cannot work with, try imagining if you're working at work. And somebody who's constantly nagging. And there's some, I just knew there's a completely different direction where they want to take, how they position themselves. So do a lot of due diligence on the fund. A couple things I wanted to mention for the free workforce, we had a lot of interns. We have here Berkeley, Santa Clara, Davis, Stanford. We go to recruiting events, we market ourselves, we pitch ourselves like we're an awesome, super duper company, and we invite people to join us. And I've had a lot of interns, I have to tell you. Another thing on the resources, you can get, there's a website called Fiverr, Fiverr, freelancers, Fiverr, yes. So they can get like for $50, they can give you a pitch deck or something like that. So just try to utilize those cheap resources because we're bootstrappers as well. Upwork? Yes, yes. So those are kind of, but have a strategy and have someone who can, advisors who've been through venture creation process, who understand milestones and when you need to fundraise and get as many opinions as you can. When you go to one investor, they will tell you from their mindset. Talk to as many as you can. There's no one investor that's right, and you know best. You know your baby like nobody else. So whatever they say, take the constructive criticism, improve, but make sure you talk to as many people as you can to make sure your milestones are actually sufficient to value inflection to get you ready for the A round.
Thank you so much. So we have Alina who kind of spoke a little bit about seed and Series A. I'm going to jump into BJ to kind of actually talk about her experience of doing friends and family round and kind of the sticky aspect of those personal relationships as it relates to money, right? So BJ, from your experience, how did you identify who to ask within your family and friend network, and how do those contracts look like? How did you actually establish a contract? What were some of the key terms that were in there? And the last question is, how much is too much, or is there such a thing for family and friends?
So I think those are all great questions. So I approach the friends and family no different than I would approach any future round. So I really want, when I think about an investor, I want somebody that's not just investing and believes in sort of our product and our vision, but is also willing to invest some of their additional resources, not just sort of the financial capital, but whether it's that advice or that expertise or anything sort of above and beyond that. So when I thought about sort of my friends and family network, I was able to sort of weed out a lot of individuals because I knew that I wouldn't necessarily want to be married to them in that sort of long-term relationship. And I wanted to make sure, and the other thing I think you have to think about, especially from an early round, is individuals is can they afford it? So wanting to make sure that this is a risk, and also framing it in this is an investment. This is not charity. Like you're investing in a business. You're not investing in just like my own personal charity. So one of the things I was able to do is, at the end of the day, I didn't ask broadly. I strategically asked the people that I wanted to ask. I put a minimum of how much I wanted. I set the numbers high enough that it also would beat out people that I knew that couldn't necessarily afford to lose the investment if SoHookd didn't take off the way I expected it to take off.
Perfect. And last but not least, we have Lisa. So for you, having had experience in the funding space also, yesterday in the VC panel, they mentioned around keeping the investors up to date on a regular cadence for progress of your startup. How do you recommend that these founders in the audience do that well?
And I'll confess that I haven't been all that good about it. I'm really good at keeping our Kickstarter and Indiegogo backers up to date because Indiegogo sends me an email and it goes from super friendly to like, send it now. So then I was like, oh, you know what? We have this growing pool of investors that I should probably keep updated. I actually have my own list of press that I have cultivated relationships and VC that I'm going to be reaching out to for that ask. And so when I have a milestone, with our new investors, I reach out to them monthly, just keep them updated with a nice email and put some pictures in there and make sure that I'm really positive about it. And I also let them know, like, okay, here's some roadblocks. These are things I might need some help with, or I'll talk to that person offline. But with my press and VC and my backers, I reach out to them very regularly. And when I have a big win, like the Girls in Tech win, I reached out to the whole kit and caboodle of them again and said, woohoo, look what we did. And they may not always answer, but I know that they're paying attention. So that regular outreach is really important. And then also I try to speak as the voice of our company because it's really important that they have a lot of confidence in me, that I can continue to grow this thing. We're in beta now with our hardware. We're getting ready to test that out in the field. We're getting ready to deliver our first units in Q1 of 2018. Everyone really wants to know about all that stuff, how we're doing, and not just the good stuff. They want to know what we're struggling with and how we're getting over those hurdles and stuff.
Can I just say one thing that I forgot to mention that I think is important is the structure and how you collect money. And we ended up using, because it was a large friends and family, we used a safe structure. And I know there's a lot of noise on whether that's the structure that it's a simple equity agreement for future equity. And there's a lot of noise versus a safe versus a convertible debt. And so I think it's important as an entrepreneur to sort of get up to speed on it. And a resource that's great is Wiliams, which is a huge law firm, and they have a ton of free resources online and even documents if you don't have the resources to have a lawyer, that you can sort of use those documents or maybe use it as a template to take to your lawyer to have them review. What is it called? Wiliams. COOLEYGO.
Sorry, we'll take audience questions in a second, but I want to summarize on the panel with an amazing perspective from each of you. Thank you. So some of the key takeaways that I took from particularly Alina is definitely know your milestones ahead of time and know which series will feed into which milestone. A key takeaway, particularly from BJ, is within the family round, definitely approach it as they're investing in a business and not necessarily their niece or their cousin in particular. And also asking for a minimum so that it weeds out those who, for any reason, won't be able to afford that round. And from Lisa's standpoint, is definitely also, to some extent, scheduling in advance, not only the investor follow-ups, but also press, which a lot of people actually forget about. So thank you to our panelists. So we're gonna open it up to, I think, 1 or 2 audience questions?
Yeah.
Okay, so who has a question? We'll start in the middle over here. Pick yourself, yeah.
Hi, my name is Clarice, and I have a question. So when you're talking about following up, and I think we all run into like, you have that coffee date, that partnership, that connection, yeah, let's work together, I'll help you out, and then you email them back like, hey, here I'm following up, and the person doesn't get back to you. And then you're in your 3rd email, and you're like, am I sounding like I am very needy? And you know, you're just straight out there giving information. I think we're all busy, and we just have to get information out there. So what would you recommend if that person is not getting back to you? Should you keep like hustling? And hey, this is what we're up to. I just want to follow up. What's your takeaway on that?
Yeah, I definitely think that you should, you know, until someone actually slams that door in my face, it's a maybe. And so I think the thing to do, and this is how I handle it, because I have like 80 press people I reach out to, but I've targeted every single one of them. The VC that I reach out to, I've targeted every single one of them. And I know that they're not always going to respond, but I know they're paying attention, so I don't waste their time. If they haven't gotten back to me after like the 3rd email, I will reach out to them when I have a new milestone. And I'll say, hey, I just wanted to keep you updated. We're so excited. Scollar did this. We've got our new, let me show you a little video. Here's a new picture of, you know, whatever it is. And then I keep them sort of part of, because we call people that are in our world the Scollar pack. You know, like, you know, a pack of dogs and cats, right? And so we kind of have this tongue-in-cheek sort of sensibility about how we reach out to people, but try to make it fun also, not super serious. And that's just kind of the voice of the company. But I want them to feel like I'm not pushing them, but I'm sharing our milestones with them. So that's very much a mindset that you have to have, because you can very easily get in your own way. Don't do that. Just like think about, okay, if I was sitting on the other end of this email, what would I want to know? And then, you know, allow that curiosity to help guide you how you reach out.
You should probably also reach out early too, just in general when you establish any relationship. You shouldn't just reach out at the point in time when you need something or you want to go for Series A. It's like all of a sudden now I want to talk to a VC. Those conversations should be starting now, just similar to like I talked about yesterday on the panel, and really nurturing those relationships so that by when it is time, they will get back to you.
Can you just expand on the press back, Lisa?
Yeah, so I've had 2 PR firms, and I don't want to disrespect PR firms. They definitely serve a purpose. I just found that my own hustle was a lot more potent. So I went out and I found out who writes about pet wearables, pet technology, pets, wearables in general. And then I figured out through Googling, which is, you know, it's like the whole universe in your hands, right? I found out how to reach them, and I compiled that list with links back to the articles they wrote. And then when so it's like almost 80 people at this point. And that's how we got in Mashable. And that's how we made the wearable best pet tracker list, was me just reaching out saying, hey, look what we did, you really don't want to know about this. And then the other thing is, your subject line is really important, because it'll go to spam. So think of something that's going to pique your curiosity, put that in the subject line. Don't bore these people with your subject line. So, but the press piece is, I mean, I'll just keep doing that forever. And maybe eventually I'll hire another PR firm. But I found that just, people like to hear from the CEO also. I think the press people in DC like to hear from the CEO, so don't discount that.
Absolutely. Yeah, of the pack.
Big question. Do you need liability insurance, especially for your product and your brand?
We definitely have liability insurance.
Repeat that question.
I'm so sorry, yeah, the question was, do we have liability insurance? Because especially we have a product, and I'm guessing Alina, it's the same for you too. It probably would help that, so I would assume that we all do. Yeah.
So, Investor 2, one here from CEO. So, I just wonder after your like seed funding or like big rounds, you know, how do you keep communicating with your investors? Do you send by emails monthly or quarterly, or you do actually install apps or tools to send out monthly email to all the investors?
So the question was around, would you send just emails directly to the investors, or are there particular apps or tools that kind of just like mass send out updates to all investors?
I personalize everything, and I try to get to know that person, because again, you as a CEO will be working very closely with them. So you need to understand their mindset, and the same as we're not perfect, they're not perfect. So you gotta know what that is, because it's gonna bite you later once your company starts growing. So really understanding who your investors are, talking to them, customizing, and different people need different approach. Some people like essays, some people like bullet points. You have to understand their style, how they read, and the captivating the subject line, because all what they might see is just the subject line. If they don't have time, they're traveling, whatever, they might need to read the email, but if you put in the subject line something that's the core message, then they might open it. So I would personally recommend customize everything and tailor to as much as you can, because that's a relationship that you're developing with your investor.
Do we have time for more?
One more.
One more?
Hi, I have a question for you, Alina. It seems like after listening to you, with your big research into like VC company and everything, I was curious if you could recommend like three VC based in the Silicon Valley that are really female friendly, some nice people to talk to them, and not much like dating, like that day, shy bags, like everything you described. Like, you can highlight like three that are really good for seed farming.
So the question was, can Alina recommend 3 female-friendly VCs that are in the Bay Area
So
for seed funding?
So if you connect with me, I can personally tell you, because I'm afraid saying anything in public, because that can be used against me. Because I still need to fundraise. So I gotta make sure. I have to tell you, there are some really good VCs in the Valley. They know what they're doing. They don't care who you are, short, tall, black, white, female, male, whoever you are. They're there to get their LPs happy. And they will look into you, they will do the due diligence, they're really good. And there's some that will waste your time. And so it's good to have the networks and peer review from other entrepreneurs who talk. I have my blacklist of VCs that I will not do, but other entrepreneurs have different opinions. So it's good to talk to multiple and see what stage who's just doing what. But happy to connect with me, and by the way, you can follow me, but send me a LinkedIn request, but you could put also that we met at Summit, because it could be too many requests, and send me an email as well.
I think one point that's really important that you made is knowing like where the VC is based. Because raising money in San Francisco or in the Valley is very different than raising money in New York, Boston, Israel, London. And so us knowing sort of the context is really important, and what sort of they're looking for in their risk appetite.
I agree. So that's it for today. Thank you guys so much. Let's give our panelists one more round of applause.
We're gonna break to lunch, and we're gonna be back here at 1:45 for our next session about Google Cloud and super interesting tips and tricks. So see you soon.